Facing challenges and overcoming setbacks is part of doing business. Whether you have the expertise to survive them or not could mean the difference between success or failure. Welcome to We Are Women, featuring revealing conversations that provide invaluable insights into the success secrets of female masterminds. A must listen for every entrepreneurial woman. Now here's your host, Janeen Vosper.
Hi, it's Janeen Vosper here with another episode of the We Are Women podcast. I have the amazing Debbie Small with me. Now, Debbie is a business strategist. She's a relationship builder. She is a collaborator, facilitator, futurist, thought leader, and connector who connects business owners with high caliber business experts. And she has the ability to see opportunities for growth within your business assets. And that's wonderful because that's one of the reasons I wanted to chat to her, because sometimes we've just got to look outside our business and have someone to look outside our business for us. Debbie is the founder of the Empowerment Point Worldwide Business Directory Hub, and co-founder of the Aussie Business Accelerator. Her clients are business owners who are passionate about making this world a better place and building their businesses with solid business foundations, one step at a time. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Janeen, for having me on here. I'm very excited.
There's a whole lot in there. You're a strategist, relationship builder, collaborator, facilitator, futurist. There's a lot of things on the tick list, Debbie, that I imagine there's been experience into, that you've had throughout your career that has built that up. I'm always interested in the futurist. I've heard some futurists speak, and how does that fit in with what you've done in the past to be able to see into the future?
Well, I actually didn't realize I was a futurist until someone said it this year. I used to call it a thought leader, and they said, no, it's actually a futurist. To me, a futurist is it's said that it's a gift, but for me, it's also, I feel like it's a bit of a curse as well, because you can see things other people can't see until it's too late. So for me, it's just something that has always been. That's just how I've been. And I tend to see things in other businesses or other people. And at times when I can see things, I tell them so they can avoid certain pitfalls. And they think it's funny or they don't listen. And then all the things I've said, unfortunately, come true. So being a futurist, it's not just about, seeing what's happening in the future, but it's also about seeing the impacts that things have. That's how I see it. So I see some people call themselves a futurist, but the impacts of what they're doing is not actually good for the world. So for me, a real futurist is someone who can see the impacts, because you want to avoid things that are going to negatively impact the world or people.
Yeah, that's such a different way of looking at businesses than we did in the past, isn't it? We just went and did business, but not with a lot of those considerations. We've slowly changed over time with a lot more considerations towards our staff and how we want to use, for them to be able to be part of the business journey. And it's that, and then what is the business creating is part of that new entrepreneurial space. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're saying?
Well, with leaders, the best leaders don't want to be the best in their business. They want to work on their business. You want to have people in your business that are better at you at accounting, better at you at certain different jobs that you're allocating. And you want to be able to manage that stuff really well. And what I mean is not being very picky in every single thing that they do, or micromanaging is another term for it. When you pick the right staff, you really need to look after them and care for them, because really your clients are important. There's no doubt about that. But your staff is really important because they're the ones looking after your clients. So you need to treat your staff well, and you need to lead them, and you need to also look at having the same values as well, because your values ends up being what the business values are, which when you bring people on board, you really want them to have the same values as you do as well to be able to grow your business.
That's such an important factor for those that have listened to podcasts before would have heard me talk about my 20 years experience as a general manager of sales. And the culture of the business was family-based, although we were turning over $10 million.
Yeah.
And the staff were treated as if they were part of the family.
That's good.
When things started to change, a new operations manager came in, it changed the whole component, and this person was micromanaging, and it was a very good time for me to step away. Because I don't really have many accountants tell me how to deal with sales and customer service, and it was something very high on my values, is to look after people, and it just wasn't quite the same. And it's nowhere near as pleasant a place to be as it was, and hence I could stay there for 20 years because it fitted in with my space and my values, and that's such an important factor.
It's also a domino effect. So if you treat your staff really well, then they treat the people around them really well, and they're happier when they go home to their families as well. So it's a beautiful domino effect, but it starts with how we treat people, and it's how anybody treats people. You know, we treat people the way we want to be treated, and then there's that beautiful domino effect. And that's the whole reason I do what I do in business, because it's the domino effect that makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. I heard on the news this morning, the business Alby Reels, and they make the fishing reels.
Right.
They've been around since 1912.
Wow.
Yes. And
how
the business,
cool is that?
they're just closing their doors now.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
Because their product is too good, that people don't replace it. That the Alby reel, fishing reel, is a very heavy duty type of reel that you can just go fishing, throw it in some cold water, and you can pull it out 50 years later and use it as a fishing reel, and as opposed to all the little spinner reels now that die and they don't last. And it was really interesting thinking about that, as to it's been a family business all that time, and it's because their product is such high quality, and it's a change in market actually. And plus we had COVID as well, which didn't help them. But it sort of went against the normal norm. You know, this lovely family business that was doing everything right, creating high quality products, and it's a different world of consumers that changes that up.
It's a totally different world. When I had an online hosiery business years ago, and to me, quality is always important, always. So what I did is, I didn't like how people would wear, or women would wear, pantyhose, and it would rip 2 or 3 days into wearing it. So my products came from Italy, from Poland, from UK, and they lasted. I still have quite a number of it in my cupboard that I wear over and over again. So people were buying less from me, but I was building up my reputation as quality. So that to me was really important as well. So the one thing with that business to even have a look at is, they've built a reputation of quality. So even if they change their product or add new product lines into it, they've already built that reputation that people know them as quality. And I think that's really important moving forward, because then they're able to do more than they would have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah. It was just a real surprise when I heard that. There's still, and one of the radio announcers said, even though I don't fish, I feel like going out, because they still got stock of them, I feel like going out and buying an Alby reel. It was
100%.
it was a difference to the space. So,
quality is a big thing.
Pardon?
Quality is a big thing.
It is a big thing, and the opposite, not the opposite, but the extension of that, and that's one of the things that I help people with, and I'm assuming you do as well, is perfectionism. Because there's a difference between having something of quality rather than procrastinating until something's perfect and not getting it done.
Perfectionism doesn't exist.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you, Debbie.
Because this is what I say, because what I think is perfect, you may not. What you think is perfect, I may not. And what we both think is perfect today, in a week's time, we may think differently. And it's because our experiences are different. That's why we think differently. So, and I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. So, and I think most of us are. But I think people look at perfection as, something, and it's unattainable. It's like a painting, 5 different people can look at a painting with 5 different opinions. That's exactly the same in regards to perfection. In business, they say, you are going to make mistakes. There's no doubt about it. You are going to fall, but the trick is to make your mistakes, fall quickly, get up and keep going. So persistence is a really big thing, and a great sense of humor, I say, is really important in business as well.
Absolutely. I know I am a very quick decision maker, and sometimes, but usually because I go with my gut, so usually it's a good decision, but occasionally, ocespecially imagine being GM for 20 years, there was some decisions in there that sort of didn't go right. Okay. And it's a great learning opportunity. I've never been a perfectionist. Let's get it done, and then ask.
That's a good way to be.
Later, if it's not quite 100% perfect, but
no, that's a great way to be. I say that failure is just a learning curve, because really, if we didn't make the mistakes we made, we wouldn't be here today. And I have to say, I hate how entrepreneurs and business owners have to go through bad things to get to where they are. But again, you and I may not be sitting here talking about this if I hadn't been through the things I've been through. So we go through things, but it gives us more empathy, it gives us more understanding, and it makes us the people who we are. And our businesses that we build, most people, their target market are their previous selves, because they want to make the journey easier for their previous selves than what they had it. And it's because of what they've gone through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, as a sales coach, that's one of the things that I talk to people about when they're targeting their market all the time. You're selling to you, but you can't write your sales copy now because you don't have the same problem that you had in the past. You need to ask questions of your clients as to what problems you're solving for them, because you've solved it. Hence, you become the teacher or the expert on that in that field.
You do, but you still have an understanding of what you went through to know what they're going through as well. But yeah, definitely asking questions is really important. And also too, because you're here, but you don't always see what's outside as well. So asking questions of people and bouncing ideas off people, you're getting different perspectives as well. I had that recently with someone having a look at my directory who saw a totally different thing to what I saw. And I loved what she saw, but I was, as she said, you're too close to it to see what I saw. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah.
And that's what you go in and do and help businesses with, isn't it? Exactly that. And it's like writing your own copy or writing your own book. You can't see the editorial mistakes until you get an editor to edit it.
That's it. Just a really quick tip there for people who do edit their own stuff. And I found this invaluable. When you're reading it, read it aloud. When you read aloud, you find more edit things that you need to do than when you read it to yourself. So just a quick tip for any of your listeners, always read it aloud and then edit it that way. I found it invaluable.
Yeah, because it is very difficult to edit your own thing. I know I've written a couple of books, they've gone away, they've been edited, they've come back to me, I've gone through them again, they've been edited, they've been looked at again by somebody else. And now when I do, I might read out a chapter as part of a recording, I'll go, there's a typo there.
That's it, because you're reading it aloud.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting how the brain works.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. So in that, looking at people's business, what's sort of the most common things that you see that people make mistakes with?
Well, one of the most common things, my brain works like join the dots. So when people talk about their businesses, I can see business assets that they can create, because for me, one of the biggest gifts an entrepreneur has is the gift of creation. And there's never been a better time in our lifetime to actually create resources that are sustainable for both ourselves as well as our clients as well. So when they talk about their business, I can see different business assets that they hadn't thought of, or that they can expand on the things they've already been doing. And yeah, that I absolutely love. And you just see them light up. Oh, I didn't realize, oh yeah, I can do that. And there's just, they've got the basis of it, because I help business owners also know what the foundations are that they need in their business, because we don't know what we don't know until it's too late. And I don't want businesses to find out when it's too late and make the same mistakes that I did. So that's why I do that as a roadmap. But when they actually realize the different assets that they can create, yeah, that's really, I absolutely love that, because then they can start working on building more sustainable assets for themselves as well as their clients too. So, now with the inflation and everything else, people need to look at, making money as well. So if they're making money and at the same time they're helping their clients be better at what they do and they're making money too, it's a beautiful world.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've talked about challenges and mistakes that you've made in the past. Tell me a little bit more about the Debbie Small story, about how you got to do what you're doing, and yeah, your history, because I didn't read any of that out. I'm waiting to hear with bated breath.
That's all good. Well, my background is actually corporate and business training. So I started at Telstra, as many of us do as well. And then I went into training. So some of your viewers may know Commander phones, which are the phone systems they have in corporate buildings. And so I was national trainer there for 12 months. And then I left there to start my own business. So really, I'm putting quotations up for people listening. I bought myself a job, which a lot of people do. So then what I did is I trained within pharmaceuticals, within retail, within telecommunications as well, and absolutely loved it. And then I went through a really bad relationship and lost myself and who I was. And it's really weird. The only time I could actually be me was when I was in a training room. And I realized that's because it wasn't about me. It was about me getting the best out of other people. And I was just in my element. Outside the training room, I was in La La Land. In the training room, it was all good. So after that, I was also account managing for some retail companies and real estate companies. And I looked after all of Tasmania, all of Victoria, and some of South Australia. And I traveled for 18 months every 2 weeks from Monday morning to Friday night. And as much as I loved my clients, after 18 months of that travel, I just couldn't do it anymore. And a friend of mine had an online hosiery business, so tights and pantyhose, and asked me to come on board and help her sell. And I hated tights and pantyhose at the time, and I said yes. And as I tried different styles on and colours, I actually felt empowered and I felt good. And I thought, if I can feel this, then I can help other women feel this way as well. And with business owners, when you feel good, you're better at what you do as well. So you help empower them. So we ended up, just to let the men know as well, for hosiery, it's like a man who wears the same suit all the time, but he changes his shirt and tie. He feels different depending on the shirt and tie. It's exactly the same with hosiery. So we ended up keeping our friendship, splitting our partnership, and I started my own online business selling hosiery. And my target market were business owners, men and women. Now, men in respect to, I was doing a gig at Foxtel and someone came up to me with amazing men's underwear that wasn't in Australia. And I thought, great, not a lot of competition. This is good. Had friends of mine try it on, they loved it. And so now I was also selling men's underwear too. So I was getting around the different networking groups and getting to know and building relationships with amazing people who I still call really good friends today, which is lovely. So then Amazon came into being, and my suppliers and my manufacturers were selling cheaper on Amazon than what I was purchasing it for. So, for the retailers, I don't know, Amazon just doesn't work that well in that respect. So I decided that I was going to step back. And at the same time, I'd made mistakes in my business as well. And I was also referred to the wrong people. So I've always been a connector all my life. But I was referred to for instance, a website person who promised me the world, everything on a whiteboard, took $10,000 from me and went into receivership. So I just...
A lot of website builders, I've heard the thing again today about someone trying to track down their website builder. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have a great reputation. So I didn't want to interrupt you then, but just on that.
No, that's
something
all right.
that the point is, we've got to, like you're doing, is connecting people to the right people.
Well, that's 100%. I still tell everybody, even though on my directory are very high caliber people, and I know all of them as well, I still tell people to do their due diligence. It's very important that they still do their due diligence on everybody. And that's the whole reason I built Empowerment Point, was because it's a point of empowerment for business owners. I wanted to make the journey easier. So, foundations are really important in a business. It's like a house. If you have solid foundations, you have choice, the choice to grow, stay as you are, or to sell. And it's exactly the same with a business. And unfortunately, a lot of business owners don't find out until it's too late that they've got holes in their foundations. So I don't want people to go through that. And as well, I wanted to be able to help promote fantastic, fabulous, high caliber business experts. So the directory, which people can find on the URL or the domain name debbie.team, is all about being able to not just share great experts, but they also give business education within the blogging, within the videos, the audio, put their events up there as well so people can see that. But at the same time, internally, the members get to collaborate. So we're about to have our first hot seat in June, where they get to help each other, because the brains in there are amazing. So they get to help each other out. And at the same time, they can collaborate with each other as well, which is really important. And on the flip side, I get to help business owners have an easier journey and find the right people that they need to.
Now, so there's a lot of experience there, Debbie, from what you were doing. And I'm hearing you about the training room, being in that training room or being in a space where you're helping somebody. It's a completely different thing, isn't it? I can run 3 days of solid training, and then just still be not exhausted. I'm on a high, and because it's part of what you're doing. It's not, nobody's taking anything from you. No. You're giving everything, but it's done, an energetic exchange. I used to, finish a training maybe on a Friday, and I'd ring a girlfriend chatting away, and she said, "Have you been in training today or something?"
You're in your absolute element. That's like, I launched the directory 3 weeks ago, and I network around the world. So, I'm in the US, I'm in Australia. I've been networking in the US. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in really weird times. But it's funny, I've always been a night person. So at night, I'm all alive, but I seem to be falling asleep at night. But then when I am doing these networking groups, when I get off, I'm so wired and so, excited. And I've had a number of people say, "Oh my God, it's like 3 a.m, aren't you exhausted?" And I'm like, yes, but it's the adrenaline, because it's my passion. Yeah. Because I know I'm making a positive difference for people. And when you make a positive difference for other people, it lights you up. It really does. And it just makes you keep moving forward.
Yes. And that's, I imagine the people you're working with, it's that whole passion thing. It's like when I'm putting time into my business, it doesn't seem like time in my business, other than accounting, but I've handed that off to somebody else. The banking.
Yeah, I hate that too.
Do yeah, but it doesn't feel like you're putting all those extra hours in, because it's all part of the bigger picture. That if I do this marketing, or if I set this up on this side, or I do something like that, which is all background things, I can help more people, because more people will find me, and that's the space that I go into when I'm doing that I don't necessarily want to do.
That's exactly right. And also, people need to realize, I had this big thing beforehand that, I was sleeping in, but I was working till really late, and I was kicking myself for sleeping in and all of that. And I've realized now that the only way that I can work the way I do, because I'm in the US at crazy times in the morning as well, the only way I can do what I do is by having sleeping in, and by, like I worked this morning till 2:30 in the morning, just because I was getting stuff done and, wanting to get all of that done. And then my first meeting this morning was at 8 o'clock this morning with people from the US, Australia, and Europe as well. So, and my meeting, I've got a meeting tomorrow in 2 mornings at 4 o'clock in the morning. So for me, it's about, and I've been trying to speak to different people who work in the US without the passport, so we don't leave our offices, how they do it. And just some tips if anyone else is doing the same thing. Firstly, don't kick yourself. You're working weird hours, you're enjoying what you're doing, but you're getting your work done step by step. Don't kick yourself for the hours that you're keeping. And the second thing is, some days, you know, I had someone tell me that they start at 4 and they finish at 11 in the morning, and then they'll go for a sleep or go do some stuff they need to do and then have an earlier night that night. So different people work different ways, and that's okay. You know, we're not all the same people. We're not all like, I'm better at different times than others. So, you know, you've got to work to your strengths, and you also need self-care. So you need to have sleep. You need to eat better. And I'm telling myself this as I'm saying it.
It's one of those things I tell myself all the time as well. Yeah.
we all do, because we tend to just work because we're enjoying it, and we forget. Like, there are times I forget to eat, and it's my stomach grumbling that's reminding me to eat. So, you know, that's not a good thing. You know, you need to put times in to eat. My mother calls me up, you know, every time. One of the first things she says, did you go for a walk today? No. You know?
I'm just thinking about the time of our interview now. I've got to be somewhere in about, I've got enough time for a walk. What is what I'm saying between the interview and where I'm going.
But we need to do these things. You know, someone told me a great thing on a Sunday. You know, I have a whole lot of amazing books to read, you know, and a lot of authors have also given me beautiful books to read. And a great thing to do is, you know, go to the beach or go to a park, or we've got here the botanical gardens as well, and just on a Sunday and just read, you know, just enjoy time of being. And it's self-care. And you're also doing something, you're reading and getting that done as well, but you're looking after you, because again, it's that domino effect. If you don't look after yourself, then you can't look after the people around you. So you need to look after yourself to do that. And sometimes, you know, for certain things, you need to say no. So you can look after yourself as well, and then the people around them. And no is a hard thing for a lot of people to say, but you need to have a look. Do things align with your values? If they don't align with your values, then say no.
Yes, and that is, as you said, that's something that's very difficult for people to say. I know this morning I have a chiropractor appointment on a Tuesday at 7 a.m.
Yep.
And my normal wake up time is about 5:15, but I changed that up this morning and was not rushing to the chiro, but it was got up and went type of thing. But I'm actually in the car park thinking, I love working for myself.
Yeah.
Because I can make this choice that I went back to sleep at 5:15. Whereas if I was employed by somebody else, I'd have to be on their timetable, not mine. And I think that's, you know, what you're saying is part of it. You are on your own timetable, but do the things that looks after you and make sure in that timetable that works for you.
100%. I do have to say that every now and again, I do look at my friends that work 9 to 5 and think, wow, at 5 o'clock, you just zen. Like, you're not thinking about things, you're not worried about things, you're not joining, you're just zenning from 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's something to be said about that as well. But people like us, you know, we create. It's not something we can do. We enjoy creating. We enjoy doing things differently. One of the things my mother said to me once, and let me tell you, she did not mean this as a compliment, but it was one of the greatest compliments she ever gave me. She said, "You always like to be different, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, thanks, Mum. Yeah. Yes,
absolutely."
But it wasn't meant as a compliment. But yeah, we do things differently, and that's, you know, how we create. Because if we didn't do things differently, you know, we wouldn't be able to create the things we do. And I still think that's one of our greatest gifts.
Yes, definitely. I have to ask, you're not the third child, are you?
No, I'm the first.
It's either the first or the third that does. Yeah.
I'm the first.
I'm a first as well. So that's.
I'm the one she went through all the problems with.
You touched on it a little bit, but it's that comparing to others as well. That can be a real problem in business. I know I was talking to someone the other day and she said, "Oh my gosh, all your socials are set up. You've got, you know, every time I turn around, there's something of you out there. You've got your podcasts and the books and all this." And I said, "I'm at chapter 23. You're at chapter 1. You can't compare the two of us until you get to chapter 23. And then maybe you can look and say, is that where I wanted to be? But it could be somewhere completely different."
Yeah.
And she went, "Oh, okay." We do that a lot, don't we? We compare because, you know, how many overnight successes are there?
We do compare. It's normal and natural to compare. but we should not compare ourselves to anybody at any time because we're totally different. I always say that, you know, some people have more experience than me and other people have, and I have more experience than others. So we're all equal. We're all equal because, you know, even how many sales courses are there out there? Yet everyone is trained differently because the trainer is different that's actually doing it. Or how many books are there about the same topic, but each book is different because the author is different. You have gifts and you have experience that other people don't have. So, and other people have experience and gifts that you don't have. We're all different. So we should never compare ourselves to anybody else because also too, we don't know what they've gone through. We also don't know what they currently are going through. We never know those things. So, you know, sometimes, you know, we think that the grass is greener on the other side, but if we got to that other side, we would probably want to jump the fence and come back. So, you know, be really careful of saying that you want to compare yourself to someone else because you don't know what their life is like. You don't know what they've gone through. You don't know what they're going through. And also too, they say that, you know, be in the present, in your present moment. And a good way to be in your present moment is to think of the sounds around you as well, because when we think of the past, we get depressed. When we think of the future, which hasn't even come yet, you know, the past is gone, the future hasn't come yet, we're getting anxiety over things that may or may not happen. We really need to bring ourselves back to this moment and just, you know, enjoy what we're doing at this moment. And certainly don't compare yourselves to others because there is no one like you. There is no one that has the experiences you do, the gifts that you do, and can do the things that you do the way you do it.
Such important advice, Debbie, for people to hear that, because it is such a human nature thing to
100%.
do that comparison. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. I hear different business owners I speak to, you know, turn around and say, oh, I'm going through this, or this is happening, or I'm not the same as them, or they're better than me. And I laugh and I say, you know what, you're totally normal. We all think the same way. You know, no matter how good an entrepreneur is that we think, or no matter how successful they may be, they still go through the same things. And that's the whole reason for my business is I want to make the journey easier. And I want people to understand that every single thing you go through is normal.
Yeah, it is. And you know, that was a big learning, and it was more learning with one of my parents, is they're doing the best they can with the information they've got at that particular
100%.
time.
And you know what? That helped me with my mother as well.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. It's
a great statement. That
it is, and because it relieves that judgment on them, and just knowing that, you know, people don't intentionally do the worst that they can. They usually
no, and that's with everybody. It's the same. Everybody's doing the best they can with the information they have at the time. And you know, our experiences are different. You know, I have different experiences to you. You have different experiences to me. And also, I look in business, I don't believe in competition. I don't believe in it. I believe in collaboration. You know, there are people that, you know, they do similar things to what I do, but they don't do it the same way. So I could collaborate with them, bring something to their party, they bring something to my party. So I'm very big in the collaboration space because I believe people can always help each other because we're not competing, because we are all different.
I'm a huge believer in collaboration and work with quite a few people who are, you know, there might be a whole lot of components that are similar sort of things that we do within the training, but there's always something that's different because you're a different person. That's the way you deliver, and how they resonate with you in particular, and want to connect with you. Yeah, that's such an important factor, is not having that competition.
That's why I love on my directory with the members only hot seat that people get to collaborate with people as well. And even business owners, if you're not a member and you're having a look for different experts, you may be able to collaborate with those experts as well. You know, what says that you can't? You can always bring something to the party too. Why not?
Yeah. And I had something to comment. It just drew out of my head about the collaboration. It was really good.
It'll come back.
It'll definitely come back. The part of that too is you talked about building assets. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so an asset is something that will make you money And a sustainable asset or the right asset will actually make you money and help your client as well. So when we create assets, we need to think of our own values. And most of the time, our values are the same as our business values. So what are our business values and our business objectives? And it's having a look at, and this is a good way for any of your listeners to do a brainstorm on a piece of paper. So have a look at where your target market. So, and as I was saying to you, your target market a lot of the time is your, well, I was saying that to someone earlier today, sorry. Your target market most of the time is your old self. So you're trying to make things easier for your old self. You don't want them to go through what you went through. So have a look at right now, what are all the pain points of your clients? How are they feeling? What are all their pain points? And that's A. And Z, what is their balance? What is their flow? What are they feeling when everything is going right in that particular aspect that you're wanting to help them in? And then what is the easiest way in the easiest amount of steps to get them from A to Z? Mm-hmm. So that you can turn in, that is what you can create into products. So you may create ebooks are a business asset. Courses, online courses are a business asset. Online courses are great too, because then they're global and people can get onto them whenever they want to as well. Masterminds that you can do, 3-day mastermind I'm putting together for June for people to go through what all the foundations are in a business. So that becomes a business asset as well. So I do a strategy session with people one-on-one. I do 3-month and 6-month strategy coaching as well. So that's 3 different business assets there. The Worldwide Business Directory is a subscription model for high caliber business experts under Debbie.team. So that is a business asset that I've created. In 2018, I sat down with one of Australia's best business strategists, Jeff Hetherington from the Elite Business Institute. And we put together, I had all this stuff in my head I wanted to do, so people would have all experts in every area of their business. So we put it all together and it was all face-to-face. So when COVID happened, we turned it all online. So it was the only program with over 36 business experts called the Aussie Business Accelerator. And we're now just changing it up slightly. So, you know, that's another business asset. So anything that is going to help your clients get to where they need to go, but at the same time is making you money. Because, you know, if you're not making money, it's not sustainable for you. It's got to be a win-win-win. It's got to be sustainable for you. It's got to be sustainable for your clients, and it's got to help build your business.
Yes, yeah. And that's that important factor about that chapter 1 and chapter 23. Don't try and do everything at once.
No, you can't do everything. And also too, solopreneurs, we tend to do everything on our own. And, you know, I mean everything on our own. You know, sometimes I wish I could have clones of myself, as scary as that may be.
I used to say, and this is when I was in GM role, I need a 14-day week. And then I get
careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I think too is people need is, and especially business owners, but not just business owners, you know, people in general need a community to banter with, but a real community, a community that actually really cares and is real. And I find the entrepreneurial communities that I'm part of, they're real. You know, we talk about stuff, we banter business. There are some people that I meet with weekly. There are some people I meet with every couple of weeks. And what we talk about is real, and we're there to help each other. And I think that's really, really important, because you really tend to, as a solopreneur, do it on your own. And you just need to know that there are people out there to help you. You know, it doesn't always cost money as well to, you know, meet with someone once a week or every couple of weeks. And these people I meet with, we do it over Zoom. I've hardly left home in the last 2.5 years. You know, I've been traveling the world over Zoom. I've been meeting people.
And you're in Melbourne, aren't you?
I'm in Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, then you'd had more, because we were able to, in Brisbane in August, we had all face in person.
No. It's not about what we're able to do. It's what I feel is comfortable.
Okay. Yeah.
Being a futurist in March 2020, I already saw what was going to happen worldwide. So that's why I say it's a gift and a curse at the same time.
Yeah.
So I've been home most of the time. I have a number of friends and even some family members who have had COVID, and I've just decided, you know, at the moment I'm trying to find my way through. But if I hadn't been home and I hadn't been online, I wouldn't have met the people you and I, Janeen, met online.
Correct.
We wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the group that we're part of. So, the amount of people I've met online, even, I've met a great pricing guy who's actually on my directory as well from Croatia. I've met American people that are fantastic that I've connected with, Australian people interstate that I've connected with that I never would have connected with otherwise. I think I've met more people in the last 2.5 years than I have previously. And I was a big networker beforehand.
Yeah.
So
it is. It's quite a different space being online and connecting with people. And for me, I personally like when you get onto those smaller groups rather than the bigger groups, because there's a lot more real connection goes on rather than when there's 50 people online, because a lot of people don't tend to share as much as when there's a smaller group. But yes, I could be online every night, every day with different groups part of it. Just sometimes it's okay, I'm done with that now.
Just what people need to do when they become, because I'm part of a number of different communities here and overseas. And my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are pretty much networking or putting in different meetings. And what you need to look at is which ones are working for you. So which ones are you really happy to be at, and which ones are just wasting your time. So I don't mean just wasting your time business-like, because there's a number of groups, I'm part of, but I still get something out of it too. I'm learning more. I'm building my influence of what I do more. I'm getting to know more people. And I've always been a relationship builder, always. And so, but you need to make sure that it's the right groups for you, because if not, you're wasting your time in the wrong groups where you could be somewhere else or helping someone or doing something for someone else as well. So in the beginning, when you start in a group, it's really easy to be making a million appointments and, you're realizing, oh my God, I haven't slept properly in the last couple of days. Really easy to do. So, and a lot of entrepreneurs I speak to, that's what happens to them in the first few weeks. And then they go, you know what, I've got to take a step back. I've got to look at what works for me and what isn't working for me. And then the really important thing too, and entrepreneurs hate this, absolutely hate this, and that's structure. We're creatives. We're not structure people, but it's the most important. The most important thing we need is structure. So without structure, we're in trouble. So put structure in. Even if you're really creative, you still need structure even more.
I know I've scared a few of my clients when we start talking about formulas and structures and things like that and systems within their business, but it's such an important factor.
It'll help you work on your business instead of just in your business. And you've mentioned systems. Systems are really important. So when you're doing things in your business, start writing down the things that you're doing, because with your systems, you can either have it written down, the A, B, C, all the things that you do in order, or you can also video each little part as well. So share screen on Zoom and, video how to do something. It's a great way to build up your system, so then you can give it to somebody else afterwards, knowing full well they've got an A, B, C of how to do it. So you don't have to keep coming back to it as well.
No, and I had all systems step by step recorded. And when I put my VA on, I was able to go, here we go. And it was done once. And it was a 28-day challenge to create a different system every day.
That's pretty cool.
And so it wasn't that
way
big
to do it.
Yeah.
I might take that on board.
Well, it makes you do it. That was the challenge was, okay, I haven't done that today. What have I got this system? Okay, the system I have when I invite a guest to be on a podcast, the steps that I follow, and then the next system is what I do with the recording after, and the next system is how do I put it up on the different media that I put, so there was about 5 systems written out, systems, not steps, systems for doing a podcast interview.
Yeah, and it's the systems that make up, the steps that make up the system. And then when you've done it, then you can have a look and go through it yourself just to make sure that you've covered all the steps that you do. It's It's, yes, as I said, structure is something we all hate, but we all definitely need. It's really important.
Yeah. I'm a little bit the other way, but I'm also flexible with it, which is
You have to be.
because things change, and it makes it. I don't know what I was going to say before, and it was part of that when I got out of the car at the Cairo this morning. There's big water puddles. It was really quite pretty. And it was just being very much in that moment. It was, this is fabulous. What a great way to start the day type of thing.
That's really nice.
And it was such a simple thing, but it was that I can choose my own hours. That was part of it. And I'm able to look after myself, but it was just, I don't know, the setting. It was a car park. It wasn't that exciting.
But it was the moment that was exciting, nothing to do with the car park. Some people think I'm crazy. I love the rain when it rains. I think it's beautiful when it rains. It's also a revitalizing as well. And I love that. And I have some friends who think I'm mad, but that's okay.
We've had enough in Brisbane now. We don't need we're used to lots of sunshine days. And I think we've had 10% of our normal full day sunshine that we would have had this year. So
I can understand.
Yeah, we're done with that. But yeah, I get you on those normal days where it is a rainy day, and I'm home in the office here, and it's funny. When COVID started, these ads come out for Katie's online ads for these casual pant things and t-shirts. So I bought a few because I thought, well, I think I'll be living in those for a little bit, so we'll have those. And I still wear them, but now some of them have become pajamas, and others are lounging clothes. So I get changed out of pajamas into my lounging clothes, but those lounging clothes might have been pajamas the week before. My husband hasn't got me every time. It's so funny, but I feel that's different. It's a different.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
Well, not so much a secret on a podcast. And I'm not the only one. There are lots and lots of other people like me. In the last 2.5 years, I think I've had maybe 2 or 3 meetings where I've actually worn pants. Otherwise, I wear pajama pants the whole time. Because one, I'm not having to wash them all the time, every single time I wear pants. So pajama pants are fine. 2, they're comfortable. No one sees them except for me. And so, it's like those newsreaders that they wear shorts underneath or something like that. So I've had my shower, I've done my hair, everything else is done. Except I'm in my pajamas, my pajama pants. So and so many of us do it. So that's my thing.
And I've even more than once where I've gone, I forgot something was on at night, and I had the shower and I'm in the whole jammies. So it's like a black t-shirt, so it's not too bad. But then you just adjust the camera, so it's not too bad. Yeah.
Well, it's really good when you've got an early morning meeting and you get out of bed and you think, I don't have to travel anywhere. So, you do your hair, you do your makeup, you grab a coffee, and then you get onto the screen. No one's any wiser. No one knows the difference. And it works really well. And they're happy you're there, and you're happy you're there, and it works.
Yeah. I was asked to do a fill-in for a keynote. Somebody was sick the other day, and it was the day before, and they said, we'll pay you, of course. And I went, yeah, it'll be good. I moved a client around, and then they were getting through the details, and they said, they gave me the address where it was in the city of Brisbane. And then they said, oh, you can do it online if you like. Yeah, thank you. That saves me 2 hours of travel and parking and all of that, and I can just be here with my pajamas on the bottom there.
But also it saves you the setting up as well. So I know that happened to me, funny enough, last week in the US, and in the afternoon I was rung up, and their same story, their speaker wasn't able to speak. Could I do it? And I just went, yes. And I hadn't had any slides or anything. I put everything together, but I didn't have to go anywhere. So, I didn't have to set anything up. I didn't have to, everything was on my computer. Everything was done, sorted, did a few practices beforehand, and we were ready.
Yes, I did much the same. The funny thing about that particular story was, I said, what do you want me to speak on? And they said, I don't know. Okay. Who will be there was my next question. So trying to figure out something that's relevant.
Always helps. That always helps, definitely.
Yeah, so it went well, and did it from home.
Well, that also shows that, we can think outside the square. We don't have to do things we don't have to be rigid in the way we do things. I don't have to, or you don't have to, go have a shower, put a suit pants on and everything, shoes, stock. Well, we don't have to do all of that. And we're actually spending the time on the creation side of it. So we're spending more time, our slides are right, what we're talking about is important and all of that, rather than the hustle and bustle of everything else. So, there will come a time where I will end up, navigating this new world and doing hybrid, but I'm still enjoying things like this because, as I said, Janeen, you and I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for online. And you and I could not meet to do this face to face because we're in two different states. But it's lovely to be able to do things like this and to be able to speak to people, but also to be able to help business owners have an easier journey. Because that is what for me, and I'm sure for you, that's what lights my soul.
Absolutely. Part of my vision statement is to enable women in particular. My usual line is I work with women or smart men. I'm not that fussy, but yeah. but my vision is to be and help women to enable them to do what they believe is impossible.
This is what I've been saying since 2020. I've been saying to entrepreneurs, men and women, I've been saying that think outside the square and use your imagination, because there is nothing that you can come up with that is crazier than what's happening in the world today. It's even more prevalent now than 2 years ago, but there is nothing that you can come up with that's crazier than what's happening in the world. So use your imagination, use your creativity and come up with different things, because you never know. You never know what might be the thing that actually goes, that's it, that's what I'm meant to be doing, that's the part. So that's why I say do a brainstorm on a piece of paper. Think of all the things that you love to do and go from there, because you never ever know what might come out of it. There are things that people say are crazy that end up not being crazy. I remember many years ago, I think I was 13, 14 years old, and we had I think it was a juice factory around the corner from us, and my brother and I are walking down, and I said, we should manufacture water. And then I've gone, no, that's really stupid. It comes out of a tap. What am I thinking? Hello? Like, hello? So, at the time it sounded crazy, but it's not crazy at all. So, really use your imagination, think outside the square, then use your entrepreneurial communities or become part of entrepreneurial communities where you can banter some things. And, people, when it comes to entrepreneurs, we're very much about what happens inside stays inside. So it's very rare for people to go and steal your ideas or anything else. So be careful as well. But there are lots of different groups where you can go and banter your ideas or find out what people's thoughts are on different things. And also too, I also know someone who helps new business owners test their ideas as well. So I'm happy if anyone wants to get in touch, you can get in touch on debbie.team to be able to find out more about that too. He's brilliant in helping startups to be able to test their idea. So yeah, there's nothing anyone can come up with that's crazier than what's happening in the world today. So.
No, I totally agree. And so many businesses have just had to totally adapt to something completely different. And I know I work with a lot of clients in the alternative health space, and they in particular have had to find something else and deliver their business in a different way.
They would have. And it's, in April of 2020, I wrote a LinkedIn post telling people that they needed to look at their products in Australia. And if they're getting their products from overseas, they need to have a look at, can they get those products from here that they can manufacture with, or what do they need to pivot or change to actually to do that. People thought it was funny then, like now people don't think it's so funny, but they needed to look at different things. I was talking to a friend of mine last year, and he's gone from photography to podcasting. So when he was doing photography, we were talking food and this, and I went, oh my God, great idea. I said this last year, I said, you know what you need to do? Give people experiences. So, team up with a restaurant, team up with someone who does travel, who can do a video. So just say Greece. So they've got the Greek food, they've got the Greek experience on TV, and they've got the Greek alcohol as well. So put it all together. And he looked at me, he's great. He looked at me and he went, we did that last year. And I went, yes, fantastic. You've got to think outside the square to do things, because, you know, I don't believe you can't. I believe if there's a will, there's a way. It just might be different to what you've been thinking before, but there are different things that people can do. I have a friend of mine who he's a chef, and he's always about, you know, cooking for people and doing things. And he started doing deliveries for people. Another friend of mine, a chef, he realized that he needed to, people were missing out on toiletries and stuff. This was in 2020. So he started to do some of that to help as well. So, you know, we need to think differently and outside the square, especially these days, because, you know, from one day to the next, you really don't know what's going on in this world.
No, I remember one of the local bakeries started in 2020, started selling the dough made.
Buy
the dough, and then they would go and bake their own bread at home.
What a great way to have family time, to actually enjoy cooking together and create family. The domino effect of that would be beautiful and wonderful with family time. Yes, love it.
It's all important. This time has gone so fast, talking about time, Debbie. It's been amazing. I always ask for 3 takeaway points, if you can run through those. So there's been so much content, but nothing else. If people
it's been a lot of fun.
They do these 3 things and take them away.
Okay, so the first thing is, and this is the most important, which is self-care. Because if we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after those around us. And the domino effect of that is really important. So self-care can be anything from eating to sleeping better, to walking, to, you know, sitting in a garden or at the beach or doing things like that, or even spending time with friends. You know, and if it's not spending time with friends, seeing them, it could be spending time with friends online or on the phone as well. But self-care, also with self-care, having a great sense of humor, that's really important as well. I'll watch stupid stuff on TV so my brain doesn't have to think, or comedies on TV or things like that. So self-care is important. The second one is mistakes are just learning curves. So keep moving forward. If you didn't make mistakes, you'd never learn anything. So, you know, mistakes are the way we learn, and that we're better than what we were before. And it's also why we do, or most of us do, the business that we're in, is to help other people have an easier way through it. So keep moving forward. That's important. And the third thing is to have a community of like-minded people, because there will be good times, there will be bad times. And these people get it because they're going through the same thing. All entrepreneurs go through the same thing. Whether you think they do or they don't, they do go through the same thing. So, you know, there are times that you're rah, everything's fantastic. And there are times you don't want to get off the couch, or you don't want to get out of bed. That is so normal, believe it or not. So having a community of people is really important. So this is why, too, on my directory, to me, it's the umbrella of worldwide of not only high caliber business experts, but also networking groups as well. So I want people to be able to find good networking groups. So I've put it on there as well, which again is the domain name is Debbie, DEBBIE.team. You can find me there, and you can find other great experts there, and networking groups as well. And if there's anything I can help anyone in any way, feel free to connect as well.
And I'll put all the contact details in the show notes. But that is the best way for someone to make contact, is Debbie.team, or how else would you prefer?
Debbie.team is the best way, because in my profile, I've got my other links there, so they can have a look at the other links as well. They can also message me through there as well. My calendar's on there, my LinkedIn's on there, all my links are on there. It's like a one-stop shop that people can, that business experts can share their links and share themselves on there. So absolutely, contact me. It is the best way to see different things I do. It's the best way.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all of your expertise, Debbie. That was just fabulous. And there's so much for people to take away and think about for themselves, and look at their business, step outside and look at what they're doing.
That's it. And Janeen, thank you so much for having me today. It's been so much fun sharing it with you. And I look forward to more times with you as well.
That'd be great. And that's another episode of the We Are Women podcast. Remember, if you are looking for just advice or connections, or because of all of the people that I've interviewed over the years, and I'm able to, if I can't help you, then I can recommend someone who can. So book a strategy call at janeenvosper.com and have a chat to me, and we'll see how I can help you, or I can help recommend someone who can help you to achieve the results that you want from your business and from your life. I look forward to you joining me on the next episode of the We Are Women podcast. Bye-bye for now.
So, do you feel stuck in a rut in business? Visit speechperfect.com.au and download Janeen's free ebook to avoid the 5 most common stumbling blocks women face in business. It's jam-packed full of tips to overcome the barriers that could be holding you back from the success that you dream your business will be. We would love you to leave a review of today's episode and share this podcast with other women in need of entrepreneurial inspiration. Subscribe to the next episode now and join the We Are Women community.